I've stayed in a lot of motels. Comes with the job. When you're a traveling salesman, you learn that America is stitched together with those dimly lit roadside places with neon signs that buzz half the night, cracked ice machines, and curtains that never quite close all the way. Most of them blur together after a while, but there's one I can't forget. It was on the outskirts of a small Arizona town. Nothing but desert stretching for miles in every direction. I'd been driving since sunrise, bone tired, eyelids heavy, and when I saw the flickering neon that read Sierra Vista Motel, I figured it was good enough. The lot was nearly empty. Just one beat-up pickup parked near the office. The sign in the window glowed vacancy in a dull red. I grabbed my overnight bag and went inside. The office smelled of old carpet and coffee gone sour. Behind the counter sat a man in his late 60s, hair thin and grey, skin like sun-baked leather. His smile was wide but didn't quite reach his eyes. "Long drive?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, rubbing my neck. "Just need a room for the night." He slid a key across the counter. An actual brass key attached to a faded green fob with the number 7 painted on it. Rooms clean, beds soft. "You'll like it," he said. Then his smile faltered, just a little. "Stay clear of the end of the hall." I blinked. "Excuse me." He waved a hand. "Just some repairs down there. Don't want guests tripping over tools." I nodded, too tired to question it. But something about the way he said it, too quick, too rehearsed, stuck in my head. The room was fine. Dingy carpet, thin sheets, a TV that looked like it belonged in a museum. But it was clean, and that was good enough. I showered, flipped channels for a while, and eventually killed the lights. The desert was silent outside. The kind of silence that presses on your ears until you start hearing your own pulse. That's when I noticed it. A door at the far end of the hall. My curtains didn't close all the way, and through the thin gap I could see down the hall. There shouldn't have been a door. Their room 7 was the last on the strip. But sure enough, in the glow of the buzzing fluorescent light, a door stood at the very end. Faded blue paint, brass knob dot. I got up, peeked through the curtain, blinked. The door was gone. Just blank stucco wall. Shadows stretching long in the hallway. I rubbed my eyes, told myself I was overtired, but when I lay back down, I could swear I heard it. The faint click of a knob turning and a door creaking open. The next morning, I stopped at a diner on the edge of town. It was the kind of place with cracked leather booths and a waitress who called everyone hun. She poured my coffee, and I asked casually, "That motel up the road, the Sierra Vista, you know it?" Her face went still. She didn't answer right away, just wiped the counter with a rag that was already clean. "Yeah, I know it," she said finally. Place seemed pretty empty, always is. Something in her tone made me press. "Why's that?" She hesitated, glanced around the diner like someone might overhear. Then she leaned closer. "People disappear there." I let out a short laugh. "Disappear? Don't make that face, hun. Folks pass through, check in, and never check out. Sheriff calls it runaways, drifters, folks skipping bills. But everybody in town knows better. That place ain't right." Her eyes were serious, and for the first time I noticed the dark half-moons under them, like she hadn't slept well in years. "What's wrong with it?" I asked. She lowered her voice even further. "They say there's a room. Shows up sometimes at the end of the hall. People who go in there don't come back out. I felt a cold ripple crawl down my spine. She straightened, forcing a smile. You just passing through, right? One night and gone. Yeah, I said, though my voice was quieter than I meant it to be. Then you'll be fine. Just don't go near that room. Back at the motel, I told myself I was being ridiculous. Motel legends. Every town has them. A haunted bridge, a cursed field, a stretch of road where people vanish. I even laughed about it in the car, shaking my head at myself. But when I stepped out onto the cracked pavement, bag in hand, my eyes went straight to the end of the hall, and there it was, the door, faded blue, brass knob catching the sunlight, waiting. I couldn't stop staring at that door. It was early afternoon, the desert sun so bright it made the stucco walls glow, and yet, there it was. A door where there shouldn't be one. I stood there on the cracked pavement, keys in my hand, mouth dry. If I walked down the hall, touched it, would it still be there? Or would it vanish like the night before? I almost tried. Almost. But something in my gut told me not to, so I shook it off. Went back to my room and tried to ignore it. The second night, I couldn't sleep. The air felt heavier somehow, like the room was pressing in on me. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the broken light outside the window. Then I heard it, a faint sound, just barely there. Tap, tap, tap dot like fingernails against wood. It came from down the hall. I sat up, straining my ears. The sound was rhythmic, steady, and growing louder. Tap, tap, tap. My skin prickled. I slid out of bed, crept to the window, and pulled the curtain back just an inch. The hallway stretched out, pale under the flickering light. And at the very end, yes, it was there, again, the blue door. Something moved underneath it. A shadow, dark and thin, pacing back and forth. I couldn't see feet, couldn't see details, just a shifting blackness like smoke. Then, slowly, the shadow stopped and turned. It didn't have eyes, didn't have a face, but I swear on my life, it looked at me. I dropped the curtain like it was burning me and stumbled back. My heart hammered so loud I thought the thing could hear it. For hours I sat there, lights on, back pressed to the wall, waiting. The tapping stopped eventually, but I never slept. In the morning, the door was gone again. I walked the hall twice, rubbing my eyes like maybe I'd see it hidden in plain sight. But no, just blank stucco wall where the door had been. I told myself I imagined it. Lack of sleep, nerves. But I couldn't shake what I'd seen. That shadow, the way it had turned. That night, I didn't even bother trying to sleep. I left the TV on low for background noise, sat on the edge of the bed with a cup of lukewarm coffee, and waited. At midnight, it came. The door, this time. I didn't see it first. I heard it, the sound of hinges creaking, echoing down the hall. The air in the room grew colder. The TV static warped, buzzing louder, voices flickering in the background like broken stations bleeding through. And then, clear as day, I heard a whisper. My name, whispered from the end of the hall. David. My stomach dropped. Nobody here knew my name. I hadn't given it at the motel. At the diner, I'd just been another face. But the voice knew. It called again, softer, drawn out. I wanted to stay put. I swear I did. But my legs had other ideas, like they weren't mine anymore. I found myself stepping into the hall, bare feet against the cold tile. Each flicker of the light above made the shadows jump, stretch, twitch. The blue door waited at the end, slightly open now, a line of darkness spilling out like ink, and from inside came whispers, dozens of them, hundreds maybe, layered over each other, rising and falling like a tide. I should have turned around, should have run, but I walked forward. The air grew heavier with each step. My chest tightened, breath shallow. The closer I got, the clearer the whispers became. Don't leave us. Stay forever. One more. One more. The door creaked wider on its own, darkness yawning. I stopped just feet away, hand trembling as I reached for the knob. The brass was ice cold, stinging my skin, and then the door slammed shut. The force knocked me back a step. The whispers cut off like a radio killed mid-sentence, and the hallway was empty, no door, no knob under my hand. Just a blank stretch of stucco. I stumbled back to my room, slammed the door, locked it, and didn't move until the sun came up. The next day, I was a wreck. My hands shook when I tried to drink my coffee. My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked pale, haggard, older somehow. I needed to get out. I packed my bag, ready to throw it in the car and drive until I found the nearest chain motel with bright lights and people and sanity. But when I stepped outside, every car in the lot was gone, mine included. The lot was empty, dust blowing across cracked pavement. No clerk in the office, no guests in rooms, just silence and heat. I stumbled back, heart racing. I knew I'd parked my car. I knew it, but it wasn't there. And when I turned to look down the hall, the blue door was waiting in broad daylight. This time, it wasn't closed. It was wide open. The desert sun burned hot against my back, but the sight of that open door froze me in place. It shouldn't have been there. Not in daylight. Not wide open like a mouth waiting to swallow. From where I stood, I couldn't see inside. Just blackness. Not shadow, not darkness the sun could explain. This was deeper, thicker, like the kind of black you only see when you close your eyes. I told myself to turn around, walk, run if I had to, but my feet wouldn't listen. They carried me down the hall, one slow step at a time. The closer I got, the colder the air became. The heat of the desert slipped away, replaced by a chill that seeped through my skin into bone. And the whispers began again, soft at first, like wind through dry grass. Then sharper, clearer, multiplying until the air vibrated with them. Welcome back. You're almost home. Don't fight it. I reached the door. The brass knob gleamed faintly, polished like it had been touched 1,000 times. The wood smelled of rot, but underneath was something else, a coppery temps. Faint but unmistakable blood. My heart hammered in my chest. My throat tightened until it felt like I was swallowing glass, but I stepped inside anyway. The world shifted the moment I crossed the threshold. The motel vanished. The desert. The sun. I stood in a hallway, but not the one I'd just left. This hall stretched on forever in both directions, lined with doors identical to the one I'd just walked through. Faded blue brass knobs, dozens, hundreds of them, vanishing into the distance. The air was thick, heavy with dust and the faint electric temps of ozone, like before a thunderstorm. The light was dim, sourceless, casting long shadows that shifted when I wasn't looking. The whispers were everywhere. Behind the doors, above me, below me. Help us. Join us. We're still here. My pulse thundered in my ears. I tried the nearest door. Locked. The next one, locked. I ran my hand along the wall as I walked, each knob freezing cold under my skin. Every door rattled as I passed, like something inside was trying to get out. I stopped halfway down the hall and pressed my ear to one dot at first. Nothing. Just silence. Then a screamed dot, so loud, so sharp it rattled my teeth. I stumbled back, heart slamming, breath caught in my throat. The scream cut off, instantly replaced by laughter. High-pitched, childlike, it echoed from behind every door at once. I clapped my hands over my ears, but it didn't matter. The sound wasn't in the air. It was in me. I don't know how long I walked. The hall didn't end. My legs ached. My throat was raw from breathing too fast. And then I saw it. A figure at the far end of the hall. It stood perfectly still, facing me. Too far to make out details, but tall, thin, head tilted slightly, like it was curious. I froze. The whispers hushed all at once. The silence pressed against me. Crushing dot, and then the figure moved. One step, then another, slow, deliberate. I turned and ran. The hall blurred around me, doors stretching endlessly. My lungs burned, legs screaming. No matter how fast I went, the figure's footsteps echoed closer, steady, relentless dot tap, tap, tap. The same sound I'd heard that first night. I stumbled to a stop, chest heaving, and threw myself at one of the doors. My shoulder slammed into wood. To my shock, it gave way. The door swung open and I tumbled inside. The room was wrong. Not a motel room. Not anything human. The walls were covered in wallpaper that pulsed like flesh. Dark stains seeped through, forming shapes that almost looked like faces, stretched and screaming. The air was thick with rot and copper. Making me gag, in the center sat a bed. On it lay a man, or what was left of him, skin grey, eyes sunken, lips cracked and bloodless. He looked mummified, but his chest rose and fell in shallow, painful breaths. His head turned slowly toward me, and when he spoke, his voice was layered. Dozens of voices spilling from his throat at once. "You shouldn't have come here." I staggered back, hit the wall. The wallpaper writhed under my palms, warm and sticky. "What is this place?" I choked out. The man's mouth twitched into something like a smile. The room that takes, the room that keeps. His eyes rolled back, and from his mouth poured a black smoke, thick and alive. It slithered into the air, curling toward me like fingers reaching. I bolted Dot through the door, back into the endless hallway. The figure was gone, but the hall was different. Now every door was open. Darkness spilled from them, thick and heavy. And from within each room came voices, screams, sobs, whispers. A cacophony that rose and fell until it felt like the walls themselves were alive with suffering. I staggered forward, covering my ears, eyes watering. And then I heard it again, my name, David. This time, it wasn't whispered, it was shouted. Dozens of voices, all calling me, echoing from every direction. David, David, David. I ran blindly, stumbling over my own feet, panic clawing up my throat. And when I looked up, the figure was there again, closer, no longer distant. no longer faceless. I saw its eyes, black voids, endless and hungry, and its mouth stretched wide, too wide, splitting its face as it smiled. "Welcome home," it said, in every voice I'd ever heard. I ran. I didn't think, didn't breathe, just ran. My shoes pounded against the endless floor. My chest tore with each gasp. My vision swam with black at the edges. But no matter how far I went, the hall stretched on, and the figure followed. I could hear it behind me, its footsteps steady. Not fast, not rushed, just certain, like it knew I wasn't going anywhere. At some point, I collapsed. My knees hit the floor hard. I tried to push up, but my arms shook, useless. The whispers surged louder. They weren't calling me now, they were pleading. "Don't let it take you. It took us to... We're still here, always here." I forced my head up. The figure was only feet away now. Its shadow fell over me, stretching long, swallowing me whole. It bent down, slowly, impossibly tall, until its face was level with mine, those eyes bottomless, infinite. I felt myself falling into them, like if I looked too long, I'd be gone forever. "Do you know what this place is?" It asked. The voice wasn't one voice. It was every voice. The child's laughter, the man's scream, the whispers, the sobs. My own voice, too, echoing back at me. I shook my head weakly. It smiled. "This is where they keep us." "Who?" I managed to croak. "All of them." It leaned closer. Its breath was ice against my skin. "The ones who vanish, the lost, the forgotten. Every guest who ever stepped through the wrong door." The whispers surged again, voices overlapping, desperate. "We were like you. We thought we could leave. We never did." My skin crawled. My bones ached, as if the weight of every voice pressed down on me. I wanted to scream, to run, to wake up, but the figure only straightened and extended its hand. "Now it's your turn." I don't remember taking it, but suddenly I was standing again, walking beside it. My body moved without me. My mouth whispered words I didn't know. We passed door after door, each one open, each one filled with darkness, deeper than death. And from every room, faces stared. Faces stretched, twisted, grey. Eyes hollow, mouths open in silent screams. Until I realized I recognized them. The man from the bed, the clerk from the office, the waitress from the diner, even my own reflection staring back at me. Lips moving in perfect unison with my whispers. The hall ended, not in a wall, not in another door, but in a mirror, tall, cracked, framed in tarnished brass. The figure stopped and turned to me. "You'll understand soon," it said, and then it was gone, vanished like smoke, leaving only the mirror. I stepped forward, drawn by something I couldn't fight. In the reflection, I saw myself, pale, trembling, eyes wide with terror. But then my reflection smiled, slowly, too wide, and it reached out, pressing its hand to the glass. I didn't want to. God, I didn't. But my hand rose on its own, pressed to the mirror. The surface rippled under my touch. Cold seeped through my skin, and then the reflection pulled. I woke up in my motel bed. Morning sun poured through the blinds. The TV buzzed softly. My bag sat packed at the door. For one perfect moment, I thought it had been a dream. Then I saw the mirror. A long crack ran across it, from corner to corner. And in the fractured glass, my reflection didn't move. It just stood there, smiling. That was 3 days ago. I don't know how long I've really been here. The motel is empty. The lot is empty. The world outside the windows doesn't change. Just the same desert sun, the same heat waves. And every night, the door appears again, waiting. I hear the whispers through the walls now, clearer each time. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see the hall. Endless doors, endless voices. I know what's coming. I know I'm already part of it. And if you're hearing this, if you ever find yourself in a roadside motel with a door that shouldn't exist, don't open it. Don't even look. Because once you do, you'll never leave.